Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about vegetarian diets. In this presentation, we'll go over different definitions of vegetarianism, some benefits of the diet, some common nutrient concerns, high protein options that aren't meat-based, possible supplementation, and then some recipes and example meals, and then any questions that you guys would like to go over. So to start off with types of vegetarianism, you have a lacto-vegetarian. A lacto-vegetarian won't eat red meats, poultry, fish, fowl, or eggs. They will, however, consume dairy products such as cheese, milk, and yogurt. An ovo-vegetarian would not eat red meat, poultry, fish, fowl, or any dairy products, but they would consume egg products. A lacto-ovo-vegetarian is a combination of the two, so they wouldn't eat the red meat, poultry, fish, or fowl, but they would consume dairy products and egg products. Vegans do not consume any animal products or any animal byproducts. So vegans don't consume any meat products, dairy, or eggs. Vegans also typically do not consume any honey, beeswax, gelatin, or any other animal byproducts. Some vegans do find it okay and are comfortable with consuming honey because it doesn't hurt the bees in any ways to produce that, but that's kind of a personal decision. Some vegans also won't use any product that's animal-based. So that would include something like soaps, lotion, makeup, or materials such as like silk, wool, and leather. These are other classifications of meat-restricted diets. So these aren't considered to be vegetarian diets, but they are still a little bit more restricted than a general diet. So a pescatarian would not consume red meat, poultry, or fowl, but they would be comfortable with eating fish or seafood. A pulitarian would not consume red meat, fish, or seafood, but they would be comfortable eating poultry or fowl, so something like chicken. Flexitarian would be someone who does their best to limit their meat intake as much as possible, but they do occasionally eat various types of meat. And then there are individuals who occasionally try to work in like a vegetarian meal. It's becoming more popular to do a meatless Monday sort of diet, where on Mondays for dinner or for the whole day, a person will try to eat a vegetarian meal or day. So some benefits of a vegetarian diet. Vegetarian diets tend to be low in saturated fat and cholesterol, while being high in fiber, phytochemicals, and vitamins. Because of this, people who follow a vegetarian diet tend to have lower cholesterol, blood pressure, and BMI overall. There has been studies to suggest that a vegetarian diet is associated with lower risks of heart disease, various cancers, and type 2 diabetes. So some common nutrient concerns when it comes to a vegetarian diet is vitamin B12, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, calcium, iron, zinc, and protein. So B12, the RDA for B12 for individuals 19 and older is 2.4 micrograms per day. Like with most nutrients, if you're pregnant or for pregnancy and lactation, those needs will typically increase or change. B12 is used in cell and nerve function, DNA formation, and red blood cell formation. So B12 deficiency can lead to megaloblastic anemia. That's when your red blood cells are too big. Heart palpitations, loss of appetite, weight loss, fertility issues, and tingling in the hands and feet. B12 does come from animal products. So if you are not consuming any animal products, you need to be probably be taking a B12 supplement. There are vegan B12 supplement options, or making sure you're consuming enough fortified foods to be meeting that RDA recommendation. Vitamin D, the RDA is 600 international units per day. Vitamin D promotes calcium absorption, immune function, bone formation and support, and overall heart health. Vitamin D deficiency can cause muscle weakness, pain, fatigue, depression, and contribute to osteoporosis. So food sources of vitamin D would be oily fish, such as salmon, sardines, herring, and mackerel, meats, livers, egg yolks, fortified foods, and your body can also produce vitamin D from sun exposure under certain conditions. Omega-3 fatty acids, there isn't enough research on these yet to have an RDA recommendation, so they have a AI or adequate intake. So for men, 19 plus would be 1.6 grams per day, and for women, it'd be 1.1 grams per day. So omega-3s are fatty acids. They're used in your cell membrane formation, hormone production, and in combating inflammation. Omega-3 fatty acid deficiency symptoms would include fatigue, poor memory, dry skin, mood swings, depression, joint pain, and some more recent studies have shown an increased earwax production with omega-3 deficiency. So some sources would be fish and seafood, fish oils, nuts and seeds, plant oils such as flaxseed, soybean, and canola oil, and fortified foods. Calcium, the RDA for men would be 1,000 milligrams per day, and women 18 to 50 years of age would be 1,000 milligrams per day. After age 50, for women, that does go up to 1,300 milligrams per day. So calcium aids in strengthening bones and teeth, muscle contraction, heart function, blood clotting, nerve conduction, and enzyme function. Calcium deficiency symptoms include confusion, memory loss, muscle cramps, tingling of the hands, feet, arms, legs, and even around your mouth. Some depression, hallucinations, and it can also contribute to osteoporosis. So some sources of calcium, typically we think of dairy, green leafy vegetables are also good sources, fortified foods, and things like sardines or any sort of small fish that you basically consume the whole fish. You'd be consuming the bones that are in them, so you get calcium from that also. Iron, the RDA for premenopausal women is 18 milligrams per day. The RDA for men and postmenopausal women is 8 milligrams per day. So iron is a key component in hemoglobin in your blood cells. So that helps carry oxygen throughout your body. It also acts as a cofactor in many biochemical reactions within your body. So iron deficiency can cause iron deficiency or microcytic anemia, meaning that your red blood cells are smaller than what they should be and have difficulty transporting oxygen. Symptoms would include fatigue, paleness, shortness of breath, headache, dizziness, heart issues, swelling of your tongue, spoon-shaped fingernails, and red cracks in the corners of your mouth. Some good sources of iron are liver, red meat, nuts, beans, and dried fruit. Zinc, the RDA for men would be 11 milligrams per day. For women, it'd be 8. Zinc plays a role in immune support, cell division, growth, wound healing, and various enzymatic reactions within your body. So zinc deficiency symptoms would include poor wound healing, lack of concentration, altered smell or taste, decreased appetite, and diarrhea. Sources of zinc would include whole grains, milk products, oysters, meat, poultry, baked beans, chickpeas, and nuts. Protein, the RDA for adults is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, or 3.36 grams per pound body weight per day. So these needs vary greatly depending on your activity level and medical needs. People who have severe kidney issues but aren't on dialysis, they may be recommended to be on a protein level lower than the RDA, versus a competitive athlete would be recommended a protein level much higher than this RDA. So it varies greatly. In your body, protein is broken down into amino acids, and these amino acids are used as used as building blocks for various tissues within your body. So as an example, a 150-pound sedentary woman, meaning she doesn't exercise much, would need about 54.5 grams of protein to meet this RDA. So a term you may hear is a complete versus incomplete protein. So proteins can be made up of 20 different amino acids. 11 of these amino acids we can produce within our own body. 9 of these amino acids we cannot, and so they must be consumed from our diet. A complete protein would have all of those 9 essential amino acids in it. So an example of that would be animal proteins: quinoa, buckwheat, hemp seed, blue-green algae, and soybeans. Those are all complete proteins. An incomplete protein would contain some but not all of those essential amino acids. So that would be other plant-based proteins. So in the next few slides, I'm going to be referencing a lot of numbers. So just keep in mind that depending on what product you're using, what app you're using, you may see different numbers per serving than what I'm saying. But these are the ones I found. So some common high protein foods: chicken, steak, salmon, those are all meat-based. And all of those are going to give you around 20 grams of protein per 3 ounces of a serving. These are some other high protein foods. These are still animal-based options, but they don't contain meat. So Greek yogurt for 6 ounces will give you about 17 grams of protein. Half a cup of cottage cheese would give you about 14. A cup of milk would give you about 8. 1 egg would give you about 6 grams of protein, and an ounce of cheddar cheese would give you about 7. These are all vegan options, completely plant-based. So about a cup of beans or chickpeas would give you about 15 grams of protein. A cup of lentils would give you about 18. Seitan is a gluten-based product that gives you about 25 grams for 3.5 ounces. So that is obviously would not be appropriate for someone who does not eat gluten, but it's used in a lot of vegetarian or vegan meat replacements because it can have a texture similar to meat. Tofu, tempeh, and edamame would have between 17 to 30 grams per cup. Nutritional yeast would have 14 grams per ounce. Nutritional yeast is also great to add to your diet because it is almost always fortified with B12. Green peas would give you about 9 grams per cup, and amaranth and quinoa would give you 8 to 9 grams of protein per cup. And those two are also complete proteins. So some other options would include soy milk. That would give you about 7 grams per cup. You can also get those fortified, so that way you're also getting calcium and other nutrients in it too. Oats and oatmeal, half a cup will give you about 6 grams of protein. An ounce of chia seeds would also give you about 6. Nuts and seeds, depending on the variety you choose to eat, would give you 5 to 7 grams per ounce. Whole wheat pasta would give you about 13 grams. Chickpeas and lentil pastas, those are also great if you're not eating gluten, but those give you about 20 to 23 grams of protein per 3.5. Protein can also be found in various other fruits, vegetables, and grains. One thing I wanted to touch on was soy. Soy has been a controversial topic for many years. There has been concern that it could, consuming a lot of soy could increase risks of breast cancer, decrease thyroid function, or have feminizing effects in men. Current research does not support those concerns and actually shows that a soy-rich diet could help improve heart health, lower cholesterol, blood pressure, and blood sugar. And it may also help reduce menopause symptoms and actually be protective against certain types of cancer. So many vegetarians, especially ones that are very active, may find a protein powder may help them just make sure they're getting all the protein they need in their diet. So you'll have milk-based options, which would be appropriate for a lacto-vegetarian, and then some plant-based options that would be more appropriate for a vegan. So some milk-based options would include whey and casein proteins. Plant-based options would include soy, pea, brown rice, hemp, and then blends of various plant proteins also. It's also important to note that hemp seeds and hemp-based protein powders, they don't contain THC or CBD. Protein supplements to avoid are collagen and BCAAs. These would be because these are typically derived from animal products, and you don't need them in your diet, so you're not missing out on anything by not taking these either. So collagen typically comes from the bone, skin, or connective tissue of various animals, and BCAAs typically come from the processing of animal hair, hooves, or feathers. If you do want to take BCAAs, there are some fermented corn vegan options. So if that is something you wish to take, just make sure you're reading the label and making sure it's a vegan-friendly option for you. If you do choose to take supplements, you want to make sure they are third-party tested. So dietary supplements, they don't have to go through the pre-manufacturing assessment part of FDA approval. And that is basically the step where products are tested to see if they contain what they say they contain. So as a result, dietary supplements can have potentially dangerous ingredients in them, or they can say they have 20 grams of protein per serving and they don't have any, or they have less than that. So third-party testing is when a product is reviewed to ensure that it has what it says it has and that it's safe for consumption. And it's done by a company that's not involved or in the production or sale of the products. So these are some examples of the logos that you would see on third-party tested products. With all of these companies, a product will be tested and approved, and then there will be a follow-up period where it is reviewed and retested. Every company has a slightly different window of review. Going into some example meals, just to give you guys some ideas of some high protein vegetarian options. So a non-vegetarian breakfast could look something like 2 eggs, 3 pieces of bacon, an English muffin with butter and jam, and half a cup of blueberries. That would give you 518 calories, 24 grams of protein, and 3 grams of fiber. So a vegetarian option could be half a cup of cooked oats, 3 egg whites, a tablespoon of peanut butter, 1 banana, and half a cup of blueberries, which would give you 596 calories, 28 grams of protein, and 12 grams of fiber. A lunch option for a non-vegetarian could be something like a chicken salad sandwich. So you have your chicken salad, 2 slices of white bread, some potato chips, and a tangerine. This would give you 590 calories, 23 grams of protein, and 4 grams of fiber. An alternative could be a chickpea salad-based sandwich. So you would have the chickpea salad, 2 slices of whole wheat bread. I had 1 cup of Smart Pop popcorn and 1 tangerine, which is 581 calories, 24 grams of protein, and 6 grams of fiber. A dinner option for a non-vegetarian could be something like spaghetti and meatballs. So you have your meatballs with spaghetti sauce, regular spaghetti noodles, and 2 slices of garlic bread, which would provide about 620 calories, 34 grams of protein, and 9 grams of fiber. An alternative could be a lentil-based tomato sauce, whole wheat pasta noodles, 1 slice of garlic bread, and 1 cup of broccoli, which would provide about 631 calories, 33 grams of protein, and 18 grams of fiber. Okay, so some main takeaways from this presentation. A vegetarian diet promotes variety and is associated with some increased health benefits, depending on which foods you want to limit. You may need a supplement, or your diet may require some more planning just to make sure you're consuming all the nutrients you need. and that you can still consume enough protein to live a pretty active lifestyle while being on a vegetarian diet. Any questions?